Good afternoon, sir.
Right, so this afternoon what we are going to be looking at, we want to be looking at immunity. Yeah, it's very important for us to understand what immunity is all about. Our body has the capacity to actually defend itself against what? Against these pathogens. If we are talking about pathogens, we are talking about those microorganisms that cause disease, right? So we are saying our body is actually capable of protecting itself against such pathogens. So if you are talking about immunity, we are basically talking about the protection against disease, right? We know that pathogens cause disease. So we'll be looking at a number of different ways in which the body can defend itself, right? So we will have a very clear understanding of this whole system, right? The first thing that we want to look at is the composition of blood, right? There's a reason why we will be looking at the composition of blood, because most of the cells that are found in blood are the ones that are involved in protecting the body against these infections, right? So a very quick summary overview of the composition of blood. We know that blood is actually made up of mainly two components, right? Plasma, about 55% of blood is plasma, right, which is the liquid part of blood. And then we have the blood cells, or the cellular elements, 45%, right? If you look at plasma, about 90% of this plasma is water, right? And then we have, in this water, you have some ions, we have some plasma proteins, we have other dissolved nutrients that are actually transported in the blood, right? And then when you look at the blood cells, right, we have mainly three types of these blood cells, right? Red blood cells, the erythrocytes, the leukocytes, those are the white blood cells, and then the platelets, right? Our attention is going to be focused on mainly the white blood cells, right? Because those are the ones that are involved in what? In defending the body against these diseases, right? We'll also talk about the platelets, right? Because this blood clotting is part and parcel of this immune response, right? And then of course the red blood cells, they are mainly involved in transport, so we won't talk much about these ones, right? So now, pertaining to this immunity, right, we are going to start by identifying the fact that we actually have three lines of defense. Right? If you are talking about a defensive mechanism, you always have these lines of defense. The first line of defense that you need to be clear on has to do with these specific structures: the skin, mucous membranes, secretions that are actually coming from the skin. All these are actually acting as the first line of defense. Right? By first line of defense, we are saying these are mechanisms that actually prevent microorganisms from entering the body. Right? So that's the first line of defense. And this first line of defense is not specific. It does not select maybe specific microorganisms, but it just prevents all types of microorganisms, all types of pathogens. So that's the first line of defense. And then we have the second line of defense. Right? The second line of defense, we are now moving on to look at the components that we have in blood, right? We're talking about maybe the white blood cells, right? These are the ones that are actually involved in what? In fighting against these microorganisms, these pathogens. That is, if they've actually managed to pass through the what? The first line of defense, right? So, on the second line of defense, we'll talk of what is called inflammatory response. You know how you actually have maybe the body swelling, you're injured, you cut yourself, you actually have this inflammation, right? That's an inflammatory response. It's part and parcel of this what? Of this immune response. And then we have the third line of defense. This one is the one that we are going to be mainly focusing on. The third line of defense, which is now involving what we call this immune response, where you're actually having these lymphocytes involved in producing antibodies, right? Antibodies that can actually fight against these pathogens, right? So those are the line of defense, and it's very important for you to have a clear picture of how this immune system is actually acting, right? if you look at the first line and the second line of defense, normally we refer to this one, it's actually non-specific. By non-specific, what we mean is that these defenses are not selecting specific microorganisms, right? It's just the body is actually protecting itself against all types of what? Microorganisms or pathogens, right? But then, the third line of defense, it's a specific defense mechanism, right? Here it is actually specific, meaning that specific type of pathogens, right, are actually counteracted by these antibodies. So there we actually have, so that's an overview of this whole immune system in the body, right? So now, having had an understanding of this breakdown, we would want now to move on to look at the second line of defense. I think it's, when you are looking at the first line of defense, it's very clear that when you're talking about barriers, the skin, the mucous membranes, if you look even in the eyes you actually have secretion of tears, right? All these chemicals, secretions, they help to actually prevent entry of what? Of all these different types of pathogens from the outside environment. So we are moving on to look at the second line of defense, which involves now the inflammatory response, right? Now, if you look at that representation of this inflammatory response, right, it gives us an overview of all the events that actually take place, right, when you actually pass the first line of defense. This is actually showing maybe the surface of the skin, right? Here we're having the surface of the skin, and here you're actually having maybe a wound, right? Maybe you surpass the first line of defense, you are injured. What happens there is, first of all, you start having pathogens entering through the wound. In other words, we no longer have a barrier, so pathogens, they actually get in there, right? So now, as part of this inflammatory response, right, what are the things that actually take place in there, right? First of all, we have the platelets. Remember, we talked about the platelets when we were talking about the components of blood, right? Platelets, they actually release blood clotting proteins that stimulate maybe this clotting process, right? We'll talk about this clotting process in detail in a short time, but we are saying platelets are actually involved in this inflammatory response that we are talking about, right? And then we also have mast cells, right? There are these specific cells that we actually have within the body, mast cells that secrete other factors, proteins that stimulate other reactions. For instance, we are having this constriction of what? Of arterioles. Those arterioles, they actually constrict, right? And then you also have, as a result of this constriction, you actually increase the blood pressure within the capillaries, right? You are now having white blood cells, right? In this particular case, the neutrophils. We'll talk about the details to these ones. They actually make their way out of the capillaries into that region where you have this infection, right? And now, what do these neutrophils do? Neutrophils, these are the type of white blood cells that can actually engulf the pathogens, right? Here we are saying pathogens are entering the wound. The neutrophils, they move towards the pathogens, and then they're actually engulfed, right? We'll talk about the details of what the stages that are actually involved in this engulfing, right? Once these neutrophils engulf the pathogens are actually destroyed that way. And what causes the inflammation? You know, if you are wounded, normally you actually have that whole area is actually swelling up. It's as a result of now an accumulation of these neutrophils, the phagocytes, engulfing the pathogens, and then maybe filling up that whole space surrounding the wound. And then this will actually result in, you know, sometimes when you observe this formation of pus around the wound, it's as a result of these neutrophils or these white blood cells, right? We also have other reactions that actually involve what are called macrophages. Macrophages are also a type of, these are also white blood cells, right? And they're actually involved in activating cells so that you actually have cells initiating that tissue repair, right? So that you actually have maybe the division of cells. It's all initiated again from these macrophages. So certain chemicals are released, cytokines, right? That initiate quite a number of processes. Besides initiating tissue repair, right? You also have these cytokines generally also increasing maybe the temperature. They have an effect even on the temperature. Sometimes you have an increase in the temperature, which will also affect the increase of this reproduction of these pathogens. They are affected by these temperature changes around that wound. So all these reactions that we are describing, they are part and parcel of what? Of this second line of defense, right? So this is what happens if you are injured. You actually pass the first line of defense. When you move on to the second line of defense, you have a series of events taking place there. And most importantly, what we are actually having there is the involvement of the phagocytes, the white blood cells, these neutrophils, right? So that's on the second line of defense, right? We mentioned something about the third line of defense, right? Where you actually have the production of what are called antibodies. It's very important that we understand which cells are actually involved in the third line of defense, right? We are going to be focusing our attention on the lymphocytes, right? Lymphocytes are very important white blood cells that are found in the blood, as we have mentioned, right? And their importance is in that they are the ones that are involved in what we call the immune response, which is basically the type of response which occurs when you are looking at the third line of defense, right? Now, what we are saying is this: an immune response is a response of the body, right, to the presence of what are called antigens. An antigen is a foreign protein which actually enters the body. It's very important that we really understand what these antigens are. Each and every cell has on the surfaces, in other words, on the cell membrane, there are specific proteins, glycoproteins or glycolipids, that act as what? As antigens, right? So each and every cell has these antigens on the surface. Those antigens that you actually have on your cells in the body, right? We actually refer to them as self-antigens because they are your cells. Your body will not react. In other words, your immune system will not respond to those antigens because they are self-antigens, right? But if you have a foreign particle, take for instance the pathogen, the bacteria, getting into your system, right? It actually has what? These foreign antigens, right? We actually refer to them as non-self antigens, right? So non-self antigens are the ones that stimulate what? An immune response. So if you're talking about an immune response, we need to understand it as a response of the body, right, to the presence of non-self antigens, right? So that's the third line of defense that we need to be talking about, right? So the immune response, all we are saying is the third line of defense. It involves the production of antibodies, right? So antibodies are actually produced by the what? By the lymphocytes, right? Against specific antigens. If you remember where we said the third line of defense is a specific response, a specific immune response, right? So the third line of defense involves the production of antibodies that are specific, right? In other words, they are produced against a specific antigens, right, in the body, right? So that's the immune response, right? And you just define what antigens are. Antigens, molecules that you can actually find in pathogens or in any foreign organism, any cells that can actually stimulate what? A specific immune response, right? Remember we said you can only have an immune response when you have antigens present, right? Now, just an analysis of what we're actually referring to as antigens, right? All cells in the body, as we have mentioned, they actually have these specific proteins on the surface that act as markers, right? These markers, they help to identify each and every cell, right? And we've just said the body can actually distinguish, right, between those antigens that are found on your own cells and those antigens that are found on foreign cells, foreign organisms. So we need to be capable of identifying self-antigens and non-self antigens, right? And as I say, non-self antigens are the ones that stimulate the production of antibodies. That's basically the immune response that you want to be talking about, right? So microorganisms, it's important to take note of this fact that microorganisms, which are the pathogens that we're going to be talking about that cause disease, they actually carry antigens on their surfaces. This is the reason why they can actually cause an immune response, right? So that's on the antigens, right? Right. So we are saying an antigen can actually cause antibody formation, right? And then this can only occur if these antigens are what? Are non-self. In other words, if you're having self-antigens, the body will not produce antibodies against these cells, right? Right. We have just mentioned quite a number of cells that are involved in all the different lines of defense. The first, the second, the third line of defense, right? But most importantly, it's important to identify the most important cells that we've actually talked about. There are two groups of these very important cells, and they're actually white blood cells, right? Phagocytes and lymphocytes, right? If you look at the phagocytes, you can actually see that you have like 3 different types of phagocytes that we'll actually talk about. You have a whole range of other types of these phagocytes, but we'll mainly talk about the neutrophils. Why? Because neutrophils, you actually have about 60% of all the white blood cells are neutrophils, right? This is the reason why we'll talk about them. And these are the ones that are mainly involved in what? In this engulfing of pathogens. And then the monocytes and macrophages, right? These two, right? They're actually related. The reason why you actually have them linked up like that. Monocytes are the cells that develop into macrophages, right? Even if you look at their structure, it's more or less the same structure. The difference being monocytes are much smaller, the macrophages are much bigger, but they have more or less the same functions, right? Monocytes are also maybe circulating within the blood, they are moving in the blood, but the macrophages in most cases they are found in specific cells, tissues. They are not moving through the blood. That's the only difference. And then the lymphocytes, again, white blood cells, that have a different function in the sense that the lymphocytes are the ones that produce antibodies. The phagocytes, we are saying they what? They engulf pathogens. The lymphocytes, they secrete, in this particular case, they secrete antibodies that will actually fight against the pathogens, right? So that's on these cells, right? A little bit more detail on the phagocytes, right? Phagocytes are produced in the bone marrow. What type of cells do we find in the bone marrow? Why is the bone marrow so important? Yes, Trish.
It's the one that produces stem cells.
Okay, right. So we actually have stem cells in the bone marrow. What do you know about the stem cells? Yes.
And specialized cells.
Right, and specialized cells, right? Cells that are actually capable of actually dividing and then later on specializing so that they actually take up these different functions, right? So the bone marrow, that's the source of these phagocytes that we are talking about, right? Now, when these phagocytes are produced in the bone marrow, right, they're actually stored within the bone marrow, and then they are only distributed when you actually need to have what? This immune response, right? So all we are saying is that phagocytes, they actually produced in the bone marrow, they mature in the bone marrow, right? That's about the phagocytes. And in some cases, they are referred to as scavengers, right? Why are they referred to as scavengers? This is because they actually move around the body and they actually engulf dead cells and even pathogens that get into the body, into the body. So that's why sometimes they actually refer to as these scavengers. So those are the phagocytes, right? And if you still remember, we said phagocytes, you can actually identify like these different types of these phagocytes, right? We have the neutrophils. The neutrophils, about 60% of all the white blood cells are actually the neutrophils, right? What do you know about the neutrophils? They travel throughout the body, right? In other words, they are moving through the blood. The blood is actually circulating. You're actually having these neutrophils moving through with the blood, right? They're actually released in large numbers from the bone marrow, as we have actually mentioned. Whenever you have an infection, that's when you actually have the release of these neutrophils in large numbers. They're actually short-lived. In other words, they actually have a short lifespan, right? But the good thing is that they are constantly being produced from the bone marrow. So throughout your life, you will constantly be having these neutrophils, right? So those are the neutrophils. One other thing about the neutrophils is that they can actually squeeze their way through the capillary walls. You know how the capillaries are actually blood vessels that are one cell. They actually have a wall which is one cell thick, right? So these neutrophils can actually squeeze their way. They can actually move out of the blood, squeeze their way through the capillary walls, right? That's a very important property of these cells, right? Right. Yes.
I have a question.
Let's say.
I heard you said stem cells are produced in the bone marrow.
Okay.
And when cells divide back to mitosis, when they divide uncontrollably, they cause cancers. So are stem cells able to get cancer, as in to multiply uncontrollably so that cancer can start from the bone marrow, and then when they are released for their action, like as white blood cells, they can spread throughout the whole body, and then cancer will spread throughout the whole body.
All right. When you're talking about cancerous cells, right, what you need to understand is that each and every cell has a specific program within the genetic material, this DNA. There are genes that actually regulate the life cycle of each and every cell, right? And this genetic material, it dictates when this cell should actually divide, when it should start secreting certain substances, right? So each and every cell in the body, not only the specialized cell, but even the cells that are unspecialized, they actually have this specific regulation, right, from this genetic material. So if you have mutations occurring, right, and then you change these instructions, then that's when you can actually have cells losing that capacity to control their division. And once that happens, you actually have cells just dividing uncontrollably, and you actually have these cancers arising. So yes, you can have any type of cell, right? You can actually have those stem cells also being affected in that same manner. Yes. All right. Okay. So now we are talking about the neutrophils, right? The white blood cells. And if you look at the nature of the white blood cells that we are having there, the white blood cell that we are having in that picture, it has a specific type of a nucleus. It's a lobed nucleus. You should be capable of actually identifying, just by looking at a photomicrograph, you should be able to identify the phagocytes. In this particular case, the neutrophils. So there we are having a representation of the this neutrophil, right? Right. When we are talking about the macrophages and the monocytes, I said these two, they are also phagocytes, right? The difference between these two, right, is that first of all, we need to make a comparison between the neutrophils and the macrophages. These are actually larger, right? The macrophages, if you look at the macrophages, the monocytes, they're actually larger than the neutrophils, right? And they are mainly found in organs, right? The lungs, the liver, the spleen, kidney, lymph nodes, right? We are talking about the macrophages here. The macrophages are the ones that are actually found within these cells, right? But then, when you have these specific cells moving in the body, when they are traveling in the blood, right? They travel in the form of monocytes. So the difference that we are having, the monocytes, macrophages are actually found in organs, right? They are fixed in specific organs, and then the monocytes, they are moving in the blood, right? So as blood is circulating, the monocytes are also moving within the blood, right? And the crucial role that they actually play, these macrophages and even the monocytes, right? They actually initiate this immune response, right? We'll understand this initiation shortly, right? So this is an analysis of the cells that are actually involved in this immune response. The photomicrograph that we have there, it represents the nature of the monocytes, right? If you look at the difference that we have, if you look at the nature of the nucleus, right? It's actually very different from the neutrophil, which had a lobed nucleus, right? So if you look at the macrophages or the monocytes, they're actually having a type of a nucleus which is very large, almost filling up the whole cell, right? And it is different in what? In structure. Another representation, right? There is a comparison, a monocyte, a macrophage, right? The difference that I was just highlighting, the only difference it's in that it's in the size, basically, right? Monocytes are moving within the blood. Macrophages are actually fixed in specific tissue, right, or specific organs, right? That's on the monocytes and the macrophages, right? Right. When you're looking at the phagocytes, right? Remember we've identified the neutrophils, the macrophages, the monocytes as phagocytes, right? Now, what do these cells do? What they're actually doing is they engulf, right? When they encounter pathogens, they actually engulf the pathogens. And then when they engulf, they are destroyed. In other words, enzymes are actually released, and then they're actually destroyed by the phagocytes, right? So that's the manner in which you have this reaction, right? We have just talked about the second line of defense, right? And I think we are clear on this one. I'm talking about phagocytes. It's important for you to be clear on how each of these, be it a neutrophil, a macrophage, or a monocyte, how you have this engulfing process. This process is actually referred to as phagocytosis. So phagocytes, they carry out what? Phagocytosis. In other words, they engulf what? The pathogens. There are a number of steps that are actually involved in this whole process. The first step, it has to do with what? What is called chemotaxis. Chemotaxis, right, which is the first step, right? It involves the recognition, if you have a pathogen getting into your system, right? The recognition of this pathogen is through chemicals that are actually released in there, right? And you also, take note of the presence of what? Of the antigens that we're talking about, right? So chemotaxis, it's all about movement. The macrophage, the phagocyte, right, will actually move towards the what? The pathogen, right? Chemo means chemicals, taxis, it has to do with movement, right? So chemotaxis is the first stage, is movement of these, of the phagocyte towards the pathogen, or the microbe there, right? The second stage is the engulfing, right? The engulfing process, you have the membrane, the plasma membrane, invaginating inwards, right? As illustrated there, right? So that's the second stage, the engulfing. So we can refer to this as ingestion, right? So we have the ingestion of this pathogen. This results in the formation. Now, this structure is now inside the phagocyte. What is formed, we refer to this one as a phagosome, right? Or a phagocytic vesicle. Because this is a vesicle which is formed after this engulfing. So a phagosome is formed, right? Now, within these cells, we know that we have a number of organelles that we can actually find, but we are going to talk about the lysosomes. What are lysosomes? What are lysosomes? What type of organelles are these? If you think back to the cell structure, lysosomes, what do they contain? Yes.
Hydrolytic enzymes.
Hydrolytic enzymes,
Yes.
right? So we are saying lysosomes are organelles that are actually containing enzymes that can actually digest or break down other different substances. So lysosomes, they contain hydrolytic enzymes. So now, lysosomes and phagosomes, they now fuse, right? Resulting in the formation of a phagolysosome, right? Now, the lysosomes, they release their hydrolytic enzymes into the what? Into the phagosome. And what happens then? We now have this digestion occurring, right? So you have those hydrolytic enzymes, digestive enzymes, breaking down the what? The pathogen, right? All this is occurring inside the phagolysosome, right? After the breaking down, you can see here we are now having the microbe is completely digested. Some of the components, they're actually absorbed by the cells, right? They actually utilized, they're absorbed by the phagocytic cell. And then what remains? What remains there? It's actually carried inside these vesicles, right? And then you actually have the release of whatever remains by what process? What name do you give to this process when substances are actually being taken out of the system in bulk? When we are talking about transport mechanisms, right? Bulk transport. Exocytosis, right? So exocytosis has to do with the release of these remaining components outside the cell. So everything that we've been looking at has to do with phagocytosis, the engulfing process. So phagocytes, they actually carry out this mechanism. All this is occurring in the second line of defense. Remember, that's where we say, that's where we have these phagocytes being involved, right? Now, the lymphocytes, the second type, we have been talking about phagocytes, right? Now, when you look at the lymphocytes, we are now moving on to the third line of defense. And we need to understand how lymphocytes are involved in defending the body against what? These pathogens, right? The first thing is, there are two types of these lymphocytes. We have what are called B lymphocytes, and then we have the T lymphocytes, right? Now, what is the difference? First of all, we need to know where these lymphocytes originate from. Where do you think these lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, where do they originate from? Yes?
They come from the bone marrow.
Right, again from the bone marrow, right? From those stem cells in the bone marrow, right? So both B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, they are produced in the bone marrow, right? Now, why do we make this classification? B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes. The B lymphocytes, they originate in the bone marrow, but then they actually go through a maturation process, right? And this maturation process will also take place in the bone marrow. And hence, we refer to these ones as B lymphocytes. So B lymphocytes, they originate and mature in the bone marrow, right? And then when you're talking about the T lymphocytes, right? T lymphocytes, they also originate in the bone marrow, right? But their maturation is in a different gland, which is called the what? The thymus gland, right? So the difference that we are having between the B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes is that B lymphocytes, they are originating and they are maturing in the bone marrow, but then T lymphocytes, they originate in the bone marrow, but then they are actually maturing in the thymus gland, right? Yeah, so that's the main difference. But in terms of function, in terms of the production of the antibodies, it's just the same. We'll look at maybe slight differences, but that's the difference that we have between the two. Yes.
Right, during the importance of mitosis, where we said the cloning of B and T lymphocytes. So, does this happen in the bone marrow, the cloning process of these lymphocytes?
All right, that cloning process which takes place, you see, I've mentioned something about maturation, right? That maturation process, right? That's where you actually have this mitotic cell division, right? In the case of the B lymphocytes, it's occurring in the bone marrow. In the case of the T lymphocytes, it's actually occurring in the thymus gland, right? So that's the difference. So we'll quickly look at this maturation process, right? We now understand B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, both originate from the bone marrow, but the maturation is actually different, right? So we'll look at the maturation process, right? Now, what is involved during this maturation process? The lymphocytes, when they actually form, when these cells are formed, they will be having specific receptors on their surfaces, right? But the maturation process involves the formation of different types of what? Of receptors. That's mainly the maturation process which is involved, right? And then each of these, right, when you now have like the different B lymphocytes with the different antibodies, each one will now go through a process, right, which we refer to as mitosis. That's the division, cell division, resulting in the formation of these clones. If you're talking about a clone, right, clones are cells that have basically the same nature, the same structure, right? So the cloning process is actually involving this mitotic cell division, right? Now, we want to look at the process, how you actually have this maturation process going on, right? So we're starting off, if you look at the B cell, the B lymphocyte, right, that originally in the bone marrow, right? We start by looking at this mitotic cell division, right? So mitosis, you have so many cells that are actually produced, right? And then while still in the bone marrow, each cell will now produce these different receptors. We refer to them as antibody receptors, right? So the antibody receptors that are produced here will actually be different. So instead of having all the B cells with the same receptors, you're now having like these different receptors. So that's the maturation process which is actually involved. All this is taking place in the bone marrow, right? There we are having like 1, 2, 3 different B cells with different antibody receptors, right? You can actually see that they are different, right? If you look at the shapes that they're having, they're actually different, right? So each one will be having a different antibody receptor, right? Now, why is this so important? This is because pathogens have different antigens on their surfaces, right? Take for instance, you have these microorganisms, pathogens. You have 3 pathogens, A, B, and C, right? If you have pathogen A getting into your system, right, we need to have specific B lymphocytes recognizing, right, this antigen A, right? If you have antigen B, we need to again to have a different type of what? Of B lymphocyte. This is the reason why it is so important to have all these B cells having like different receptors. So that's the purpose of the maturation process, right? So we are saying once you have the different receptors, what would now happen if you are now having this immune response? We're now looking at a situation where we have a pathogen getting into your system. We now have the mature B cells, right? Now what happens is this. This is representing, this is representing maybe an antigen. An antigen is entered your system. Now, what will happen is this antigen is actually identified by the specific B cells that have the receptors for that antigen. So, this stage here in the immune response, right? We actually refer to it as what? We are having what we refer to as clonal selection, right? Clonal selection because we refer to each of these. This one is you have a different clone. These are different clones. Why? Because they have different receptors. So when you have an antigen getting into the system, that's like clonal. It's a selection of a specific type of a clone. So we have clonal selection. After clonal selection, we now have what is called clonal expansion, right? Whereby we are now having mitotic cell division, whereby the body is now producing several of these B cells with the same receptors as the one which has been selected there, right? So clonal selection followed by clonal expansion. We are now having several of these cells, right? This is mitotic cell division. So you actually have several of these B cells. We are now referring to these as B cells, right? With the same receptor. Can you see they have the same antibody receptors, right? After this process, each of these will now develop into what we call plasma cells, right? Plasma cells are the cells that will end up producing the antibodies, right? So if you look at this stage where we are now, right? The B cells, they actually produce plasma cells. They also produce what are called memory cells, right? So two types of cells are actually originating from the from these B cells. Plasma cells, they now go on to secrete and to produce the antibodies, specific antibodies for that antigen, right? Are we clear on it? Okay.
Can you say that viruses are pathogens or they just
Yeah, we're not talking about a pathogen. A pathogen is any microorganism that can actually cause disease. Yeah. So any pathogen, we actually identify a microorganism that can actually cause disease. So it's a pathogen. Yeah.
So since you said a virus is a pathogen, so are there receptors for certain viruses that can attack the virus and cause the body to become normal? For example, HIV.
Right. If you look at the mode of action of these different pathogens, take for instance, if you're talking about viruses, right? Viruses, how do they have an impact on the body? Viruses, they take control of the cells. In other words, they can only multiply within host cells. When a virus gets into your system, what does it do? It actually takes control of maybe the genetic material of a particular cell, right? It stimulates this cell maybe to produce more viruses, right? So the mechanism in which, how you actually have these viruses and how maybe you have bacteria having their effect is slightly different, right? That's why when you are describing maybe how you actually have diseases coming about, it's all because of the different mechanisms that are followed, right? So viruses, they have a different manner in which they actually interact with the cells, right? So now, coming back to, so once we have the antibodies having been produced, right? The antibodies, they target the pathogen, right? We'll look at different ways in which these pathogens are actually destroyed by the antibodies. But another very important group of cells that are produced that we have mentioned are the memory cells, right? Why are the memory cells so important? Why do you think memory cells have to be produced in this particular instance? Yes?
So the next time when the body doesn't get the same antigen, it will quickly recognize it and destroy it just in time.
Right, exactly. The memory cells, they're actually very important in the sense that when you actually have maybe in the next infection, you have the same antigen or the same pathogen getting into your system, your body will not have to start again from the initial stage. Remember we talked about clonal selection, clonal expansion, right? So the body this time will not have to go through those stages. It will just go straight to those memory cells, right? Will immediately start producing the plasma cells. So there won't be any clonal selection, no clonal expansion. You just have memory cells being, you just have the plasma cells being produced, and then antibodies are produced. So it will be a faster way of actually producing the antibodies. Yes?
So what happens when someone has cancer? There's irregular multiplication of these white blood cells. When a virus, when a pathogen enters, does it act the same way as a person's body with normal white blood cells, or it's different?
Yeah. If you have cells, remember it all depends on which cells have been affected. If you are talking about white blood cells, right? Having maybe this genetic anomaly where they are no longer dividing how they should really divide, then definitely it's going to affect all these mechanisms, right? So if someone is having maybe this white blood cells having been affected, it means it compromises the immune system. These are the situations where we talk about someone having a very weakened immune system. It's because the white blood cells are no longer capable of what? Of going through this whole type of immune response. Yeah?
So you're saying that every single time a pathogen enters the body, they first go through the memory cells, or like they just...
Alright, if you have a pathogen getting into your system, right? We are saying right now as you are sitting, you have some B lymphocytes, right? With different receptors, right? They are just waiting. If you have a pathogen getting into your system, right? What will happen is because you have several of these B lymphocytes with different receptors, you definitely have one that can actually identify that antigen. And then it's selected, we talk of clonal selection, we have mitosis occurring, we have an increase in the number of that particular B cell, and then we now have this process, production of plasma cells, and then production of specific antibodies to counteract that particular pathogen. Yeah? So that's the thing. If you have memory cells, right? In other words, if you had encountered maybe such a pathogen before, that production of antibodies will actually be faster, right? So sometimes you may not suffer from that disease again. A simple example, if you have suffered from chicken pox, yeah, it's rare for you to actually have that recurrence because you already have memory cells. If you have that pathogen getting into your system, your body is prepared for that. So that's why memory cells are very important, right? They are there to actually be ready to have this second response, right? So that's on the B, how the B lymphocytes are involved, right? Right. We have just been talking about this immune response, and we are saying you can have an initial response. This graph is actually representing the amount, the concentration of antibody within the body when you have the first invasion. So if you have first invasion, you can see the concentration of antibodies that producing there is actually much less than when you have a secondary response, right? So the secondary response, besides the fact that it will be a faster process, right? You actually have more of the antibodies being produced, right? So this graph is just representing the different types of responses that you will get when you have the first invasion or when you're having the second invasion. Second invasion, this is like when you have this exactly the same antigen getting into your system, right? So you have more of the antibodies being produced, and they're actually produced much faster, right? So you need to have a clear understanding of the primary immune response and the secondary immune response, right? All this is meant to slow down the emergence of this condition or this particular disease, right? Right. Once again, a representation of that the antibody concentration, primary response, secondary response, right? all these are graphical representations, right? Now, here we are having a summary to some of the aspects that we've already talked about, but we still need to talk about the T lymphocyte. We've just talked about how the T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes are originating from the bone marrow. The B lymphocytes, we said, they are originating there, and then they are also maturing in the bone marrow. Now, when you look at the B lymphocytes, right? The B lymphocytes, we said, when you are having a foreign body or a pathogen getting into your system, you have a series of events. Now, let's just quickly go through, right, the stages that are involved in this immune response. You're having B lymphocytes in your system. What are the stages that we actually go through? We're having B lymphocytes. What happens to the B lymphocytes when a pathogen gets into your system? What's the first thing which happens in the body? A pathogen is entered your system. We have B lymphocytes. What's the first stage? We refer to it as?
Did you try to identify the pathogen?
Right, definitely identification of it. So we talk of what is called clonal selection. Right? So you have several clones of what? Of the B lymphocytes in your system. So when an antigen gets into your system, we have clonal selection. Now, after clonal selection, what happens? We talk of clonal expansion, which involves what process? How do you actually have these clones now expanding?
They multiply by mitosis.
Right, we are having